Systematic theology builds its world using a series of massive structural pillars, organizing complex spiritual data into an interlocking conceptual framework. Traditionally, the doctrine of Scripture takes epistemological priority. It is the necessary starting point because it defines the very framework for how we claim to know anything about the divine. Following this is the doctrine of God, which holds ontological priority. It addresses the ultimate reality, identifying the source and sustainer of all that exists. However, in a secularized culture, starting with these transcendent categories often leads to immediate rejection. Many modern listeners harbor a deep-seated distrust for any claim to absolute external authority or ancient revelation. Yet this skepticism is usually focused outward. While the modern mind may doubt the existence of a god or the authority of a book, it remains acutely certain of its own presence, the immediate, day-to-day existential fact of being human. To effectively engage this mindset, the study of theology often begins on the ground, starting where the culture's focus is most intense, with the human subject. This is the field of theological anthropology. It is a unique area of study because the student is simultaneously the object under investigation, turning the lens of theology back onto ourselves. This doctrine functions as the structural anchor for the entire theological system. It provides the base definition of the human being that every other doctrine must account for. Because anthropology defines the person receiving salvation, it dictates the requirements for the rest of the system. It connects directly to our understanding of Christ, salvation, and the purpose of the church. Any adjustment to the definition of a human being creates a ripple effect. If the definition of the human problem changes, the system is forced to redefine who Christ is and how the process of restoration must work. Ultimately, a flawed view of human nature creates a domino effect, leading to models of incarnation and atonement that are structurally unstable from their inception. This dependency is most visible in the bidirectional link between anthropology and the study of Christ. Because the Bible teaches that the second person of the Trinity took on a genuine human nature, we cannot claim to understand the person of Christ without first defining what it means to be human. To maintain clarity, theologians distinguish between essential humanity, human nature as it came from the hand of God, and empirical humanity, the fractured condition we observe in ourselves today. Looking at our own fractured lives often provides a distorted view of our potential. Conversely, studying the human nature of Jesus reveals the original intent for the species, providing a clear blueprint for what humanity was meant to be. This logic extends to salvation itself. Without this specific theological claim that God created humans for a purpose and that a historical fall occurred, the concepts of atonement and regeneration lose their internal necessity. If we do not have a precise diagnosis for the human fracture, the doctrine of original sin, the solution offered by the gospel becomes a cure for a disease that hasn't been defined. This theological diagnosis matches the observable crisis in modern self-understanding. We are a species defined by a deep and persistent contradiction. On one hand, we are capable of nearly godlike achievements, massive leaps in medicine, space travel, and global communication that suggest an almost infinite potential. Yet these same capabilities are paired with a capacity for cruelty and violence that is unique in the natural world. We reach for the stars while remaining seemingly unable to control our own impulses. We see this in how morally neutral technology is deployed. The same tools used to save lives are frequently weaponized for destruction, proving that the flaw is not in our tools, but in our internal system. This undeniable split, the presence of profound dignity alongside deep depravity, requires a framework that can account for both. It suggests that empirical humanity is a broken version of a much higher original design. Many today have lost their historical and traditional roots, actively rejecting the frameworks that previously gave life a sense of order and location. This loss of context leaves individuals adrift, constantly cycling through the fundamental questions of, who am I, and what is this world for? By beginning a dialogue here, at the level of human problems and collective self-concern, Theology finds a point of immediate interest, even with those who reject religious authority. These questions eventually force a logical transition. Once we ask what we are designed for, we are inevitably forced to look for a defining standard of the good, a standard that requires a source beyond our own subjective feelings. By starting with the universally accepted reality of human identity and suffering, anthropology builds a strategic bridge back to the necessity of a transcendent God. This connection isn't just theoretical, it dictates the exact operational methodologies used in ministry, education, and government. If we define human beings purely as physical machines, our only objective will be the optimal satisfaction of physical drives through material means. If we define them purely as rational actors, our work will focus entirely on intellectual persuasion, assuming that better information always leads to better behavior. Likewise, viewing humans as essentially emotional or sexual beings prioritizes psychological adjustment above all other restorative work. Every institution operates downstream of its view of humanity. If the base definition of the person is incomplete, the resulting treatment will eventually fail the patient. The modern intellectual world attempts to solve this identity crisis by creating specialized behavioral sciences, each focusing on a single aspect of human nature. This produces fragmented images of ourselves. We are reduced to economic pawns, mere biological algorithms, or complex animals. We are studied in pieces, but never as a whole. Christian theology offers a unifying alternative to this fragmentation through the concept of the imago Dei. This doctrine asserts that human beings are special creations made in the exact image and likeness of a transcendent creator. While specialized sciences slice the human subject into isolated variables, the imago Dei provides a framework that integrates our physical reality with our highest sense of meaning and purpose. To build a robust systematic theology, we must move past the general importance of the doctrine and dissect the actual makeup of our species. This leads to necessary debates regarding our constitutional makeup, how the body and soul are united, and the mechanics of how the failure of our first parents affects every human life today. We cannot understand the scope of the solution until we have measured the depth of the fracture. Mapping the original design of humanity and the mechanics of its failure provides the necessary context for everything that follows in the story of redemption.